Hey YouTube, Custom Measureworks here. Just wanting to do a knife review on the new Brous Blades Bionic flippers. Pretty cool little EDC knives. Got a couple of them here, and I'm glad I waited till I got the second one to do the review because I was a little skeptical of the first one I received, and there was a little variance between the two. You know, it is a production knife, but overall, pretty awesome flipper. It's got a 3-inch blade. It's D2 steel. Excuse me, hollow grind, as you can see there. And it comes in several configurations and finishes. You can get this with a satin finish blade. I've seen people get it with the stonewash finish, and as you can see, you can get the black. I'm not going to say DLC, but you can get a black coating, and you can also get the black wash, which is pretty much a stonewash over the black coating, which I'm a pretty big fan of. I love that. I do that to a lot of my own blades, and they're great. I think they're kind of a perfect EDC knife. They weigh pretty much nothing. They're like 2.5 ounces, really lightweight, and they accomplish that by, well, first of all, the aluminum handles. That's a huge plus, and I don't know if you can see that. The liners on the inside there, see how it's skeletonized? Almost completely. That really lightens it up. Let's see if it's a little bit on the bottom there. Pretty cool. So they really thought of it all, really lightened it up. Jason Brous did. The lockup is early, which I love, because I really want my knives to have some longevity, because I tend to play with them a lot. I like to open and close them, especially when it's a flipper. That's all I'm doing is just flipping, and you want to make sure that that's going to wear and give you enough time to wear as you're constantly locking, unlocking, and grinding that lock bar up against the bottom of the blade tang there. So really early lockup. I love it, and it's consistent on both knives that I've gotten from them. This might be a little harder to see. See, really early lockup, and as you can see, there's numbering there. That one says 697 out of 1100, and this one says 327 out of 1100. I don't know if you can see that or not. Not that it really matters anyway. But yeah. And 1100 is the total amount of Bionics that they made, combining all the different color and blade configurations. All of them are aluminum handles. They all have the same milling, same design, just different anodization colors. They come in this really cool orange that I'm a big fan of, black, gray, red, pink, green, blue, and I think that about covers it. And the blade is actually quite reminiscent of the 777 zero tolerance blade. Let me grab that and show you what I mean. Just in case you haven't seen it. That's what I'm talking about. So, not quite as an aggressive tip there, or almost an organic curvature on the blade. As you can see, this kind of is a little straighter, but it has that blood groove at the top there, which is pretty sweet. Same thing as here, except it's curved. Kind of goes with the curvature of the blade. But that's for a different knife review. These are really good EDC knives. Lightweight. They carry fairly deep in the pocket, deep enough. You're going to have about this much sticking out of your pocket. Yeah, about that. Out of the whole blade. And that's acceptable to me. I strongly prefer a deep carry. For many reasons. One, it's not really the whole being inconspicuous. I think that's kind of stupid. Most people are going to see a clip and probably assume you have a blade, or they're just not going to notice at all whether or not you got a big chunk of it sticking out or not. For me, it's just the fact that you have a decent amount of your blade sticking out of your pocket. Not a fan of that. It's physics states, somewhere anyway, common knowledge, it's all about mass, The mass of this knife, the more of it sticking out of your pocket, the increased chance you have of it falling out of your pocket. Especially if you're physically active, or run into a intense or emergency situation where you have to crawl or run or climb or jump or anything like that. You really want to make sure you don't lose your weapon. So I really like to have this buried nice and deep, and you get used to it. It's actually more comfortable for me and most people I've spoken to. When you have it sticking further out, it kind of gouges into your hip a little bit more, especially when you're bending. But when it's in your pocket, I do understand some people, they do have more difficulty getting in and pulling it out of their pocket and deploying that blade quickly. And it just comes with practice. For me, it's not an issue. The only thing that's really going to make it faster for me might be a lanyard, and I don't really need that unless it's a tactical knife and I'm wearing gloves. But anyway, I love the deep pocket carrier. It's deep enough. It's simple, it's slim, has a good amount of tension, pretty strong, so it's going to keep it in your pocket. Flow through design. You can see that skeletization again there. That's pretty awesome. Pillar construction. You got a little piece of the inner steel lining that kind of protrudes there, which is cool. And that's what the pillars connect to. And as you can see, there's a generous amount of jimping right there on this curved area where your thumb's going to go, the thumb ramp. Ergonomically, it fits in the hand really nicely. And you do have jimping on the blade itself and on the handle. I do not like the jimping on the handle, pretty much in any case, on a flipper. Any other time I'd love it, but it makes for a very uncomfortable experience when you're flipping this on a regular basis. I've actually flipped these so much that I've developed a really thick callus, so it doesn't bother me as much anymore. But at first it was so uncomfortable. The flipper is very sharp on this, and so I rounded mine off, if you can see that, to make it more comfortable, even though you have the jimping. So I think that if I was able to get the handle skills without the jimping on the top there, it'd be a lot better just on the handle, because you're still going to have traction on the blade spine there. But it is what it is. My finger's getting used to it. And I actually noticed that on this acid stonewash one, it's not quite as aggressive for some reason. It's a little more comfortable to flip. And the jimping on the back of the blade spine on this one is actually more aggressive than it is on the satin finish blade. It might just be because they put more of a polish on it and not so much on this one. I'm not sure. But I'd like to get you a good look of that stonewash. It looks really cool. Very nice. And everything else is blacked out, all the hardware. The liners, still skeletonized, of course. Everything's the same. You can pick these up for about 160 bucks. They have an all blacked out model without the stonewash, and it's actually a little more. I think it's about 190, which doesn't make any sense to me because this is more of a process than the all black version without it, and I think it looks better. But hey, I jumped all over it when I saw that it was a better price for a I guess a better feature. Again, ergonomically they're really comfortable in hand. They really can form. I have mid-size hands, so it's a little bit small in my hand. I can get that last finger on there and get a good grip. But so many large hands it'll probably end up being more like this form, where one finger is hanging off. You have a nice finger choil for added traction and security if you're going to use this a little heavier. But that's going to come with most flippers, where you can lock up easier there with that finger. And again, that jimping here just gives you tons of traction. I wish that some tactical knives or knives that would have potential to be tactical would have jimping as good as this. It's pretty impressive. Overall fit and finish, the first one I got, this is the one I was saying I was a little skeptical about. The anodization on the handle scales on the aluminum does have some blemishes, and it's really minor. Overall it looks great, but there's little flecks of black here and there that just didn't get anodized, I guess. There's a spot right there, some stuff down here. Let's see if you can see that. Those little nicks right there. It was on top as well. You can see it. And it doesn't come off. It's not like something I could buff off. It's almost like a crack in the aluminum or something like that. Not a big deal. I just noticed it. When I first got this one, not only did I have to round this off because it was so uncomfortable before I have conditioned my finger to flip this knife, because yes, it's that uncomfortable in my opinion. Definitely the most uncomfortable flipper I've ever flipped. It started to get lock rock. The lock bar would just get jammed anytime I'd open it, and I'd have to pry it closed or pry it loose with a pry bar. And so finally I just took the sucker apart and sanded at the same angle as the blade tang, very lightly. And it's not like I did much sanding at all, because I didn't want to lose that early lockup. But I sanded it down, and now I don't have a problem at all. It's smooth as can be. And it does have the ball bearing system in there. And this one in the orange, again the first one I got, it was pretty rough at first. I really had to do some tweaking on the pivot pin here on both sides to get it so that way it was minimal blade play but very smooth deployment. And yes, it has very minimal blade play. There's none side to side, which is, if I was gonna have blade play, that's the type of blade play I'd be more forgiving of. But it has a little bit front to back, and I feel it on both of them. But it's more of that clicking. It's barely anything. Like a 1 to 10 scale of blade play, it's a 1, 10 being the worst. So it's not bad at all. It's definitely acceptable, but you can feel it. No side to side, so that's good. But yeah, there's a little bit of front to back. Deployment, it opens pretty quick. Not bad. I had to oil it up when I first got it. It was really grinding. It sounded like rusty ball bearings in there. You could really hear it. But it has a nice solid lockup, quick deployment. Fairly smooth. Not bad. I think that was really the only problems I had with this one. But you know, once I rounded off the flipper and fixed the lock rock, I was pretty happy. Oh yeah, and once I adjust the tension on the pivot pins, if you look real close, it's also a little off center, not the blade down here, but up here actually. There's more space actually where you can see that detent ball. If you can see that. I think you can see it now. It's just got more space on the left side here. And so, I mean, is that going to really hurt anything? No, just an observation. You know, looking for symmetry. The centering is almost perfect. Not bad. It's definitely good enough for me. It's a little to the left there. And it was I found the same thing on this one. It is a little to the left. Again, minor. Not anything for me to be upset about. And this one, I'm a little bit more of a fan of as far as fit and finish and how fast the blade is when it deploys. The flipper just seems nicer. The ball bearing seems smoother. I'd say the detent's probably just as good on both of them. Detent's really nice. I mean, see if you can hear that. Yeah, that's solid. Pretty cool. And I think that helps to deploy the blade quicker on the flippers. That's usually a variable involved in how well a flipper flips. So very nice. Overall, I think anybody would be very pleased with these. There's plenty of other competitive options. You know, everyday carry flippers like these that are going to be at a better price point. But I do feel overall that you're getting a good deal. You really are. For $160, you know, Jason Brous, if you're not familiar with him, he does some really nice work. Very unique. He's got a lot. I have a lot of other blades of his. I think it's called the T4. I have the Division. I'm probably gonna end up getting the Mini Division as well. He's got a lot of good stuff going for him, and he does custom work. His custom work's really impressive. You know, his mid-techs and everything like that are nice. And these are productions, so you have to realize that you know, if you're used to the tighter tolerances and better fit and finish or near perfect fit and finish that you'd normally get from Jason Brous, it's unreasonable to expect that on a production level knife. But I think you'll still be impressed with what you get, even though it's production. So these are really great EDC knives. I know I've said that a few times now. I've carried them and I love it. They're very comfortable in pocket. I really think that they have a good blade on it. Not my favorite blade. I mean, I love the way it looks. Aesthetically, they're awesome. But I generally prefer a blade, if I want to be real particular, to have a little more belly. And you know, not so much of the, what do they call this, the Warncliffe or the sheep's foot. I'm not sure which one it's called, but that sort of style. But it still doesn't really matter because, you know, I'm not really complaining about this either. This is just sweet. So I think a competitive option, you're probably going to laugh at me. I should have had this accurate. Let's see. Would probably be CRKT Ripple, the aluminum version. Let me get this out of the way. It's a great knife. It's just as light as these, or at least very close. Aluminum handles again. Big disadvantage as far as the fact that it's tip down carry only. Again, that's just my opinion. I forgot to mention that these you can switch. It's tip up only, which I'm very happy about. But you can carry right or left. This little panel or piece comes out here, this tab, because it's recessed, so that way this fits right in there securely. So you can swap that out. But the competitive option, and for about $30 to $40, check this out. Probably one of the nicest flippers I own, as far as mechanics goes, as far as how fast and effortless it is to deploy, and how smooth it is. These IKBS bearings blow the bearings that are in this out of the freaking water. Hate to say it, they just do. I mean, they're just smooth as butter. And this is an awesome knife too. I mean, you're not getting the quality level materials that you're getting in the Brous blades and the Bionics here. But yeah, you are getting aluminum, so that's cool. But these are D2 steel, which is, in my opinion, a mid-grade steel, mid to high, depending on where it's coming from. I don't know how heat tempers these. I'll find out, because I'm actually going to use this orange one here like heavily and really put it to the test. You're going to get a mid-grade Japanese steel on this. I can't remember if it's Oz 8 or 8CR13 MOV or something along those lines, but it's decent. But I love the blade design. It gives you that belly. I did it like an aftermarket acid stonewash. Let's see if I can get that. Pretty sick, pretty aggressive. And you can see that mirror polish edge on there. Very, very sharp. I'll have to do a knife review on this separately. But it's a competitive option. Again, you're going to enjoy flipping this better. And the jimping here, remember I was hating on that earlier? It's so mild that it doesn't hurt your finger when you're actually flipping this. It's actually a little too mild, which is probably good. Again, I wouldn't want to flip this as much if it was tearing up my fingers like it does on the Bionic. And it just screams out of there with like no effort at all. So that's a good option. But if you want something a little on the higher end, you know, fit and finish and tolerances, quality materials, and the fact that it is a Jason Brous blade, that's the way to go. I really don't think anybody would get these and have any regrets. They're really nice. This is one of those types of flippers where I think a lot of people would have to play around with to get the feel of it, how to actuate it in the best way. I think most flippers, you can kind of do the push button or the light switch. Not always, but I think you can get away with it. And I think this falls into that category. If I do the light switch, it works just fine. And if I do the button press, it works fine as well. Usually when you do the button press, it comes out a little faster, especially if you preload it. But you can flip it like the lever. Like the light switch, I guess you could say. Like that. Or you can just push. So that's nice. I think that about sums it up. They're really great knives. You know, pick one up, take a look while you can. They might go pretty quick. I did see on Jason Brous's website a custom version of it, and it looked awesome. I can't remember what the blade was. I'd like to say it was acid stonewash, but I had a carbon fiber handle on it, and I want it. I want it really bad. It was about $600, so that put an end to me wanting it, but it's pretty awesome. I might actually take a stab at creating my own carbon fiber handles for this particular model or version of this knife. But good sized blade to handle ratio. I really like that. I hate when you have a blade and then the handle's like a full inch longer. And that's pretty good right there. Or 2 inches longer. It's ridiculous. So Good, almost 1-to-1 ratio there. So I hope you liked the review. I hope it was somewhat informative and give you a little insight. And again, my opinion, if you're on the fence about picking one up, they're awesome. Get one. And I think they'd be a good gift item too if you don't mind dropping $150 on a knife. I think, you know, probably because they come in different colors, they'll suit a lot of different people. So anyway, there you have it. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll talk to you later. Take care.